Hey guys, Foxdrop here. Today I want to do a video telling you how I accidentally won 17 games in a row. No clickbait or anything like that. I promise you, I swear down I won 17 games in a row. I'll put the proof on the screen right now for you. This was split over 2 different accounts, but they're in the same elo, both mid-diamond. You know, I wasn't smurfing or anything like that. Just genuinely won 17 games in a row. And today I want to talk about the things I did that made me win so many games in a row. So hopefully this can serve as something educational for you, but also for me as well. I want this up here as like a little reminder in case I slip back into my old ways of how it is that I actually got good at League of Legends again. I just started playing a lot smarter. Before I went in for any play, I would think, okay, what's actually going to happen if I go for this? What are the likely scenarios here? In the past, I wouldn't think about that, and sometimes it would work out for me, and that was cool, but other times it wouldn't work out for me, and that really wasn't cool. So by thinking about things instead, I avoided a lot of situations where things could go wrong, and instead I'd play smarter and wait for my opportunities where I could go for something and there'd be a higher chance of success. On top of that as well, this has something to do with my champion pool. Specifically in my off role, I'd be playing like Nautilus or Orianna or Blitzcrank. Champions that I could just chill out on and still be useful even if I wasn't necessarily going to carry really hard because, you know, I'm not too comfortable on those roles. Even like my jungle pool, right? I mostly play like Lee Sin, Gragas, and Ivern. And Gragas and Ivern can quite easily fill out the supporty role where you don't have to hard carry every game. Lee Sin's a bit of an odd one out there, but, you know, I've been playing him since Season 2, so I can't leave him out. The next thing that I did was I actually got kind of good at playing my off roles. Like I say, I played a lot of supporty champions, people like Orianna and Nautilus, but I also practiced other people. I played a lot of Caitlyn in the bot lane, Jack's top as well. And with these champions, I went from a spot where if I had my off role, I would just lose the game. So whereas now, if I get my off role, I still know that I'm not great at them, but I can still give it a decent chance and still give my team a decent chance to win as well. Another thing that I did was I had a better understanding of what it took at various stages of the game to actually win the game. That one may sound a little bit foggy, a little bit hazy, not very specific there. But essentially all I mean when I say this is I knew where was best to put my time because I knew which people on my team were going to benefit the most from my time. Most of the times this would just be putting my attention to the people who are actually ahead. In the past, I would try way too hard if I have people losing on my team who weren't doing particularly well. I try so hard to get them back into the game and oftentimes just take myself out of the game in the process because it was just way too far gone. Whereas what I've been doing a lot more of is putting those attentions onto players who are already doing well or people who have already demonstrated that, okay, if I help them, they're actually going to be able to do something with that help. So yeah, essentially just put your effort into people who are strong rather than trying to save everyone because you're not going to be able to save everyone as a jungler. And honestly, that's not even your role necessarily. Another thing that I did a lot more of was to invade the enemy jungle, but mostly only when I saw where the enemy jungler would be. So if I saw him show top side, I'd invade his bot side jungle, something like that. I also put a lot of specific love to the chicken camp because that gives you quite a lot of golden experience. So taking that away from the enemy jungler, that was good shit. But also just sticking a ward on it as well, I found was like really valuable. There's a lot of different scenarios where he would show on a ward at the chicken camp and I'd get so much information from putting that ward down. On a somewhat related point as well, I noticed that my map awareness had gotten a lot better. I'm always aware of what's happening on the map, specifically in relation to what the enemy jungler is doing. So this led to me getting a lot more counter ganks going down or just like countering plays in general. So if I see the enemy jungler show one side of the map, I'll know to do something on the other side of the map or something like that. Which meant that I was always matching pressure and the enemy jungler never really got anything for free. So I would very rarely have those games where the enemy jungler was just doing like loads of stuff and I was doing nothing. Map awareness as a jungler, funnily enough, just so happens to be quite important. Another thing that I did a lot better was to understand my role specifically in team fights. I'm not talking about, you know, nipping down to Greg's and deciding whether I want cheese and pickle or tuna. Not that kind of role. I meant more like what it was that I had to do when I was fighting. So specifically when I was playing someone like Lee Sin, I wouldn't try and go for that flashy insect play or try and always like displace the enemy carry. Instead, I understood that a lot of times all I really need to do is just protect my own carry. Just sit on them and make sure they don't get collapsed on and then maybe look for like a 2 or 3 man kick. But as long as I peel for my carry, honestly, in team fights, that's fine. On Gragas as well, I learned that my ultimate is really, really valuable if I just chuck it on loads of people. Like, I don't always have to try and, again, displace the enemy carries. I can just throw it at a bunch of people, and by spreading them out like that, that in a team fight is really cool, because then you can isolate targets and you can focus them down a lot easier. Outside of understanding my roles better in team fights, this point here, Foxy, if you're watching this in the future, pay good attention to this one, okay? Because you're not very good at doing this. I didn't tilt. So since I've gone on this 17 game win streak, my two accounts have kind of gone in different directions. The stream account has now climbed into Diamond 2, and my main account has been demoted to Diamond 4. And the reasons why that is because on my stream account, I've been doing a lot of the stuff that, you know, I'm mentioning in this video today and kind of building upon it. But I've also not been tilting at all. I've just been focused on the game and just thinking about, okay, what's my next step? If something bad happens, I'm like, oh, crap, and then I move on. But on my main account, because I actually care a bit more about that elo, because that's the one that's got like my name attached to it. It's the one I'm doing my Road to Masters series on as well. I cared way too much about my elo on that account, honestly. And I've just been tilting so much. I lost like 5 games in a row the other day. And what happens is I just make like a dumb play on that account. And I'm just like, I just get so frustrated with myself. I get so mad at myself. Foxy, what are you doing, you dickhead? And yeah, it all just spirals out of control. So not tilting, honestly, is so important. Like, legit, I can't stress this one enough. Don't focus on what it is that your teammates are doing. Don't worry about it. Those plays that have gone a little bit ugly because you think your teammates are, you know, dumbasses. At least from a personal perspective, I found that if I've made a play where I've had to rely on my teammate, it's kind of been a risky play anyway, and I've just made an assumption that my teammate will come and help me. And it's that assumption that's the mistake, not the fact that my teammate didn't come. So yeah, don't tilt. I know you're going to be watching this video in the future, Foxy. Don't tilt, dickhead. So kind of like a bit of a summary here. I didn't force plays as much specifically in the early game. You know, this is what I was talking about, how I was doing less bad stuff rather than necessarily more good stuff. And I was just using my brain a lot more in general. Just quite simply, think about the things you're going to do before you do them. It's too easy to go on autopilot when you're playing League of Legends, especially when you're playing jungle. Just, you can't go on autopilot when you're a jungler. Just use your brain. Think about things before you do them. And that in itself will make a huge improvement to your play. So that pretty much sums up all I want to say for this video. It's kind of surprising for me that, you know, I have this huge list of things that I really feel like I've improved on. So yeah, I don't know where this knowledge came from. I'm back on form, kind of. But yeah, hopefully you guys could get some benefit from this video as well. Thank you so much for watching it. I hope you enjoyed it. You can leave a cheeky thumbs up if you did, and you can subscribe to me for more League of Legends content. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a great, wonderful, amazing day, and I'll see you in my next video. Just a little present for those of you who've stayed to the end of the video here. If you look down there, Shaddy is asleep on his little bed. There you go. That's what you get for staying to the end of a video. All right, peace out, guys.